Hey y'all, welcome to a new video. Before I go to bed tonight, I decided that I would like to do a little 2024 letterboxd wrap up, and I would like to share that with you, of course. So I am going to have a bunch of screenshots and stats up on the screen here while I talk about them verbally from my mouth. And we're gonna get right into it, okay? In 2024, I watched 393 films. This is not my best year. I know you're looking at that and you're like, girl, that's over a film a day. And we will get into weekly and monthly stats. Okay, there are a bunch of stats to go through here. I thankfully have the pro subscription to Letterboxd, so I have a lot of really cool stats thanks to them. This equaled out to 406 diary entries, which means that I watched some films multiple times within the year. Okay, this is also really cool for me. I had 406 diary entries, which meant that every movie that I watched, I wrote a review for. I've never been able to do this in a year. I think even last year there was one movie, for some reason I just didn't review it. I just rated it, said when I watched it, and had no words to say about it. And this year I thankfully had something to say about every single movie that I watched. This equaled out to 731.8 hours of movie watching time. Looking at some weekly stats, my most fruitful week was week 52, the final week of the year, December 23rd through 29, with 21 films. My average per month was 33.8 movies a month, and then I had a 7.8 average per week. So I watched over a movie a day according to these stats. Saturday was my most watched day with 70 films on a Saturday, meaning like Saturday's accumulative, I watched 70 films on every Saturday added up. And then Tuesday was my least watching movie day with 50, and then Wednesday right above it with 51. Okay, milestones. The first film I watched last month was Dishonored from 1931 by Joseph von Sternberg. This is a pre-code film starring Marlene Dietrich, my wife, about an Austrian spy who is sent to seduce the Russians. It's like the perfect kind of movie to start the year. I love her movies. I love hers and his movies. I have their whole collection, like a Criterion collection of Marlene Dietrich and Joseph von Sternberg. I have seen all of them like separately on the Criterion channel, but I really need to get into the collection so I can watch like all the bonus features and everything. And then the final movie that I watched last month was Topaz from 1969, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Or sorry, I said last month, I meant the last movie of the year, which both apply. This is a really boring spy movie from Hitchcock. I didn't enjoy it, guys. It was cool to see how many spy gadgets and espionage tactics he could cram into one movie though. Other diary milestones for my 50th, 100th, 150th, 200th, 250th, 300th, 350th, and 400th film, which you can see here. Most watched. Okay, my most watched movie last year was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I watched it 3 times. I watched it 3 times in 1 month, mind you. And then the following movies I watched twice in last year. I watched Nosferatu, Saboteur, Interstellar, The Substance, Jennifer's Body, Immaculate, and Midsummer. Okay, this section is called Wrap Up on Important Lists from 2024. If you've ever looked at my lists on Letterboxd, no you haven't. You have never seen those. They're such a mess. It's such a mess. Okay, I do a challenge every year where I try to watch 52 films directed by women. I was able to watch 62 films directed by women. This is my lowest year again. I think one year I managed like 115 films directed by women, and in that year I watched like 1,000 films. It's hard. It's hard to watch 52 films directed by women, especially if you are someone who tries to watch everything that comes out in the year, everything you missed from the year previous, old movies. Like if you are someone like me who watches everything and anything, like it is difficult to find a lot of movies directed by women, and I thankfully I'm like what, like year 5 for 5 of completing this challenge. So, and then I have another list of 2024 theater watches. My total stats were 73 films in theaters. I had 56 first-time watches and 17 rewatches. I watched 47 films from 2024. I watched 10 films from 2023, and then 10 films that came out before 2023. My busiest month at the theaters were February and August with 9 theater visits. My slowest month at the theater was September with 2. That's very hard to admit for me. My first theater watch was Night Swim, and then my last theater watch was Baby Girl. Actually, technically, it was a rewatch of Nosferatu, but I didn't realize that until after I already gave Baby Girl the title, so I'm not changing it. Okay, looking at genres, countries, and languages, this is my least diverse year. which is really sad for me to admit. I go out of my way to watch foreign films, and this year I didn't have the time for it. I didn't have the time to sit and read subtitles, and I feel really bad about it. I also want to note that this year I watched half the amount of films that I watched in 2023. So when I say like, oh, my stats are low, like they're not actually low. I was just insane before I started this YouTube channel. So my top genres were drama with 180 films, thriller with 131 films, horror with 116, and comedy with 99. My top countries were US of A with 336, UK with 66, Canada with 2, Canada with 22, Italy with 21, and then France with 19. My top languages were English with 335, Italian with 15, and then Spanish and silent films with 8. I'm not going to go over themes and nano genres, but I will put them up on the screen here if you want to pause and take a look at them. Okay, getting down to the breakdown stats. I love these stats so much. Out of all the films that I watched last year, 23.4% or 95 out of 406 films were from the year 2024, and then 76.6% or 311 out of the 406 films were older than 2024. 77.1% or 313 out of the 406 were first-time watches, and then 22.9% or 93 out of the 406 movies were rewatches. Again, as I said earlier, I reviewed every single movie that I watched last year. Super great feat for me. I've never done that before, and I hope to do that again in 2025. Okay, getting into the ratings that I gave out in 2024. So these aren't just for 2024 movies, these are for every movie that I watched. I gave out 7 half-star ratings. I gave out 19 one-star ratings. I had 23 1.5-star ratings. Again, 23 2-star ratings. Flip that, 32 2.5-star ratings. 64 3-star ratings. 66 3.5-star ratings. 74 star ratings. 54 4.5-star ratings. And then 48 5-star ratings. I watched 246 films off of my watch list, and then I added 695 films to my watch list. I will never ever get through my watch list, never. There's not enough time in my life to do that, sadly. Okay, and then the final stats I have here, my most watched actor was Parker Posey with 10 films, and then Winona Ryder and Robert Pattinson take second place with 7 films. My most watched director was Alfred Hitchcock, no surprise there because I did a whole Watch a Criterion Collection Hitchcock for the Holidays video with 21 films. And then second place was Paul Thomas Anderson with 6 films, who I also did a Watch a Criterion Collection Paul Thomas Anderson edition video. So those were my 2024 letterboxd stats. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know your stats down below. If you are a returning viewer to my videos, thank you so much for clicking on this one. I appreciate your support so much. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing so that you don't miss any other film or book content that I create. Give this video a like if you liked it, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!